Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
Dear students, welcome to Insight Academy. In today's session, we're going to have a discussion of Indian Polity and Governance test paper of General Studies Prelims exam. I hope all of you have attempted the paper, and I have seen many of you have scored very good marks. So let me take you through the discussion of this paper. Indian Polity and Governance is a very, very important section, because if you want to crack prelims exam in your first attempt, if you want to score more than 100 marks in prelims examination, then polity, governance, history, geography, environment, these four segments have to be very good, because remaining questions may be from economic, maybe from science and tech, they are from largely current developments. So polity, you have to pay special attention along with history, geography and environment. Let's start today's discussion. Consider the following statements. Each and every question, each and every statement you have to read carefully. Instructions also you have to read carefully. As I always say, instructions are very important, because sometimes you'll have not correct, sometimes you'll have incorrect, sometimes you'll have correct. So slight lapse of attention could take away your 2.66 marks. And why 2.66? Because every question is worth 2 marks, but if you commit mistake, you have to pay penalty also, and that goes 2.66 from your pocket. So President can return an ordinary bill once for the reconsideration of Parliament. Perfectly correct. President has some kinds of veto power which are procedural in character. In Indian political system, the President doesn't have anything called exclusive veto or open veto, but there are certain procedural vetoes available to President, and one of them is to return ordinary bill for reconsideration by Parliament. The President can return a money bill once. Money bill cannot be returned. Money bill has a special kind of procedure. That money bill is very important, and money bill is largely decided by Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha has a role to play, but main decision-making power on money bill lies with Rajya Sabha. If the Parliament passes the ordinary bill again, with or without amendment, President has to give his or her assent. That's perfectly correct. So 1 and 3, these are correct here. Option is A. You have to see above are correct, which statement are correct. So option is A. And point number 2, or the statement number 2 is wrong, because President cannot return a money bill for reconsideration. This reconsideration power is available to President only for ordinary bill. This is also not available if it is a constitution amendment bill. With reference to ordinance making powers of the President, consider following statement. The President can promulgate an ordinance only when Parliament is not in session. Ordinances are special laws. Ordinances are issued to fill the gap. Because Parliament cannot be in session every time of the year, so whenever Parliament is not in session, you cannot just call the MPs overnight and draft the bill and get it approved. So for that kind of emergency situation, Article 123 allows President of India to issue ordinances. And how are the ordinances issued? The President is going to issue ordinance on the basis of the recommendations of Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister. President, from his mind, cannot really issue ordinance. This is always coming from Cabinet through Prime Minister. The ordinance shall cease to exist or operate after 6 weeks. That's correct. So within 6 weeks, Parliament will have to enact that particular law that was enacted through ordinance making power. And if Parliament fails to do it, ordinance automatically lapses. Now, ordinance can be issued again. There's no limit on the number of times ordinance can be issued. You can keep a law alive through recurrent or through multiple ordinances or through continuous ordinances, but this again cannot go for an indefinite period of time. Bihar government tried to maintain a law through ordinances, and that was struck down by Supreme Court. That ordinance cannot replace the normal legislative procedures given by Constitution. Ordinance making power of President is coextensive. Coextensive means both coexist. During the normal time when Parliament is in session, the law is to be made by Parliament by following the normal legislative procedure. When Parliament or state legislature these are not in session, that time you may need a law in emergency, and for that purpose the Constitution gives ordinance making power to President at center and governor in state. 213 is the article for state. You have to remember the prominent articles, and 123 is the article for center. 123 all are correct here. Option is D. Question number 3. The Vice President is elected by an electoral college consisting of members of both the houses of Parliament. Now you have to see nominated members participate or not. In the election of Vice President, the elected as well as the nominated members participate. So both the houses of Parliament form this electoral college for the election of Vice President. The election is conducted according to the system of proportional representation. Perfectly correct. State legislative assemblies do not participate. This is only participation of both the houses of Parliament. So 1 and 2 are correct. Option is D. With reference to office of governor, consider the following statement. The governor can reserve certain bills passed by the legislature for the consideration of president. Correct, true. The governor can promulgate ordinance when the legislature is not in session. Same article 213, as I told you. The governor must act on the advice of his council of ministers. No. The power of governor to reserve a bill for the consideration of president is a discretionary power. And in this discretionary matter or on discretionary matters, the governor is not required to follow the advice of council of ministers. So this is wrong here. 1 and 2. How many are correct? Only 2 are correct. B. Number 5. Consider the following statement. As per the Constitution of India, the Prime Minister formally appointed by President holds office in the pleasure of President. That is wrong. The ministers hold office during the pleasure of President. Prime Minister does not hold office during the pleasure of President. Prime Minister holds office till the end of the tenure of the House or until he enjoys or his cabinet enjoys the trust of the House. Only Lok Sabha can remove Prime Minister from office before the completion of the term, and at the end of the term, Prime Minister ceases to be Prime Minister automatically when the term of the House ends. The Prime Minister is ex officio chairman of Niti Ayog. Ex officio means by virtue of the office. Anybody who is Prime Minister will be chairman of Niti Ayog, so that's the meaning of ex officio chairman. By convention, the President must appoint the leader of majority party. That's correct. Leader of majority party. If there's no party in majority, then leader of the majority alliance. And alliance also, pre-poll alliance is given preference over the post-poll alliance. This is how appointment of President takes place. Correct? So 2 and 3, which one is correct? Consider following statement. Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. That's correct. The ministers hold office during the pleasure of President. That's correct. Ministers hold office in the pleasure of President, but not the Prime Minister. Because any of the minister can be removed individually by President on the advice of the Prime Minister. Both are correct here. C. The cabinet is a smaller body within Council of Ministers. That's correct. The senior ministers are called cabinet ministers. The decisions of cabinet bind all the ministers. When decision is made, when issue is discussed, and maybe some ministers do not agree with the decision, but once decision is made through majority vote, it is a collective decision and it is binding on everyone. If a minister still says that I am not happy with the decision, I will not go with it, that minister will have to resign. That minister cannot continue to be part of cabinet. The term cabinet has not been defined in Constitution elaborately. The term cabinet is mentioned only once in the context of the recommendation for imposition of national emergency, but it has not been defined anywhere in the Constitution. 1 and 2, only 2 are correct. Question number 8. A person can be appointed as a minister even if he is not a member of parliament. Perfectly correct, because such minister will have to be a member of either of the houses within 6 months. That's a limit given. A minister must become a member within 6 months. That's correct. Both are true, but not the explanation. B. Rajya Sabha has equal powers with Lok Sabha in the impeachment because impeachment motion of the president has to be approved by both the houses of parliament separately with two-thirds majority or with absolute majority. The Rajya Sabha has no role in passing of money bill. Rajya Sabha has a role in passing of money bill because money bill has to go to Rajya Sabha. So there is a procedure. Lok Sabha cannot just pass money bill and send it to the president. Procedure demands that money bill will have to be sent to Rajya Sabha. Now Rajya Sabha may approve it, Rajya Sabha may reject it, Rajya Sabha may approve it with a kind of some amendments or cuts within 14 days. So 14 days time is available to Rajya Sabha to decide or not to decide. After 14 days, if Rajya Sabha has sent the bill to Lok Sabha can reject those changes. If Rajya Sabha has approved, Lok Sabha can go ahead. And if Rajya Sabha has rejected, Lok Sabha can go ahead. If Rajya Sabha has not even considered the bill in 14 days, still Lok Sabha can go ahead and send the bill to the president for signature. So Rajya Sabha has a role to play. Rajya Sabha doesn't have a decisive role to play. That's the issue you have to see here carefully. Joint sitting can be held to resolve ordinary bill dispute. A deadlock, if suppose Rajya Sabha has passed, Lok Sabha has not passed, or Lok Sabha has passed, Rajya Sabha has not passed. So in such a situation, the president can summon a joint sitting of both the houses of parliament under Article 108, and that meeting is presided over by Speaker of Lok Sabha. Since Lok Sabha has a much bigger strength, much larger number, so the will of the Lok Sabha generally prevails in a joint sitting. 1 and 3, second is wrong. With reference to public interest litigation, consider following statements. It allows any individual or organization to file a litigation or case on behalf of whose rights have been violated. Perfectly correct. The National State Human Rights Commission approval is not necessary here. That's wrong. A letter or telegram addressed to Supreme Court or High Court is also treated as PIL. Letter telegram, this has been accepted by Supreme Court as PIL. Public interest means any person, any issue that affects a group or entire nation. The issue should not be of the concern of individual. It should be of concern of society or group or community at large. And that can be written to Supreme Court or High Court, and through a telegram or letter that will be accepted as a filing with the court. So 1 and 3. 11 number. The Parliament of India enjoys power to fix the maximum strength of Lok Sabha. It's not Parliament. Constitution decides it. And Constitution can be amended by Parliament, so Parliament can decide in that manner, but not through ordinary bill. The strength in Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha can be changed only through the special procedure given by Article 368, and in this procedure there is involvement of even state legislatures. So it's not ordinary lawmaking procedure. President of India can nominate distinguished members to Rajya Sabha, that's correct. Only 2. Parliamentary privileges apply only to members as well as some non-members. For example, Attorney General, he has parliamentary privileges. He has the right to speak in either of the houses of parliament. Freedom of speech in parliament subject to constitutional limitation. Of course, you cannot abuse constitution, you cannot abuse the nation, and then you can enjoy freedom of speech. Judiciary cannot inquire into the activities or proceedings of parliament. Parliamentary proceedings are privilege of parliament. So they are regulated by the rules of business procedure and under the leadership of a speaker in Lok Sabha or the chairman in Rajya Sabha. 2 and 3 are correct here. B. 13. The Supreme Court has original appellate as well as advisory jurisdiction. That's correct. Advisory opinion of Supreme Court is not binding on the President. President can recommend a particular matter to Supreme Court for advice, but this advice is not binding. Supreme Court is the guardian of the Constitution, of course. 1 and 3 are correct here. Option is B. High courts can issue writs under Article 226. That's correct. Supreme Court can issue writs under Article 32. The writ issuing powers of high courts are much wider than Supreme Court, because Supreme Court can issue writs only for the protection of fundamental rights. High courts can issue writs not only for fundamental rights but also for the protection of other rights of citizens. The High Court's writ jurisdiction extends only to fundamental rights as well as other rights. High courts have powers of judicial review like Supreme Court. 1 and 3, 2 are correct. 15th number. The judges of Supreme Court enjoy security of tenure. Of course, judges of High Court, Supreme Court, they enjoy security of tenure. Their salaries and pensions are charged on CFI, that's correct, Consolidated Fund of India. Judges can be removed by President. Of course, can be removed, but not on the advice or recommendations of Chief Justice, but by following the special procedure given in Article 124 of the Constitution. And that is, both the houses will have to pass that motion of removal of a judge of High Court, Supreme Court with a special majority. And then there are other conditions to be fulfilled, like inquiries to be conducted and opportunity has to be given to the concerned judge. Only A, 1 and 2. Judicial activism in India grew largely through PIL, public interest litigation. Judicial restraint emphasizes deference to the legislature, that is also correct. So activism means judiciary takes active part in analyzing the policies, programs, the actions of government as well as the inactions of government. And when it's judicial restraint means let the executive do whatever it wants to, let the legislature do whatever it wants to. So both are opposite concepts, both are correct here. Article 129 declares Supreme Court as a court of record. Court of record means all its orders are binding on Supreme Court as well as the lower courts. So all the orders of Supreme Court are binding on all the courts in the country. And court of record gives another power that Supreme Court can punish anyone for its contempt. That you cannot violate the order of Supreme Court. That is contempt. The judgments given by Supreme Court are binding on all the courts in the country. That's correct. High courts do not have power to punish for contempt. High courts are also court of record. High courts' decisions are also binding on the courts of the country. And high courts also have power of contempt. Of course, high court's decision will not be binding on Supreme Court. Supreme Court can remove them or can change them. How many of these statements are correct? Only 2. 18 number, subordinate courts are under control of High Court of this state. That's correct. We have integrated judiciary. District judge is the highest judicial authority in a district. That's correct. Subordinate courts cannot issue writs. Writs can be issued only by high courts and the Supreme Courts. So writ issuing jurisdiction or the power is a special power. 1 to 3. The Speaker of Lok Sabha decides on disqualification of members of the House under 10th schedule. That's correct. The Lok Sabha members' issue of disqualification is decided by Speaker. The Rajya Sabha members' disqualification issue is decided by the Chairman of Rajya Sabha. The decision of the Speaker is final and not subject to judicial review. Decision is final, but every decision can be reviewed by Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has said that Speaker's decision is subject to judicial review. The Speaker is the guardian of the privilege of the House. That's correct. He is like the father figure for the members of the House. 1 and 3. Not correct. So you have to read instructions carefully. See, not correct here. Only 1. The legislative procedure in a state legislation largely parallels that of Parliament. That's correct. Governor's assent is required for every bill to become a law in the state. That's correct. Like President at the center, Governor at the state will have to sign the bill to become a law or to make it a law. A bill reserved by Governor for the consideration of President cannot become a law if President withholds his assent. That's wrong. That's wrong here. So cannot become the law. Can still is not true. Cannot become the law. 1 and 2 are correct here. 21. The President addresses both Houses of Parliament at the commencement of first session after general election and first session every year. The President address is prepared by Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister, not by the Prime Minister alone. The address outlines the policy programs and the vision of the government. That's correct. 1 and 3. Only 2 are correct. So you have to keep reading the questions, keep reading statements carefully. Most of the statements are easy. But if you do not read them carefully, you will end up committing silly mistake. When Vice President acts as President, he continues to act as Chairman of Rajya Sabha? No. When Vice President acts as President, then a Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha manages the functions of the House or leads the House. If offices of both President and Vice President are vacant, CJI or Chief Justice of India perform the functions of President. That's correct. Not correct here again, only 1. The person must be, what are the qualifications for becoming governor? Age 35 years. Person must be citizen. Residence of a state is not required. And person is not required to be member of parliament or anything. 1 and 2. He, she serves as, this is about Prime Minister. He, she serves as the communication bridge between President and Council of Ministers, of course. Advises President on the appointment of all ministers, correct. Prime Minister determines the agenda of cabinet meeting, that's also correct. So 1, 2, 3, all are correct. Rajya Sabha is the permanent chamber and cannot be dissolved. Of course, that's true. It's a permanent house because 1/3 of the members of Rajya Sabha retire every 2 months. So that's the reason. That's why A is the correct, R is correct, and R is the reason for A also. So R correctly explains A. 26. Regarding executive in Parliament of India. Okay. The Constitution of India vests executive power of union with the President, not with the Prime Minister. Executive responsible for implementing the laws made by Parliament, that's correct. At center, the executive consists of President, Vice President, Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, that's correct. So 2 and 3. Under habeas corpus, the court can issue order to set free a person who has been arrested wrongly or unlawfully. The writ of quo warranto. Quo warranto means so the authority. If someone has occupied his office, someone has occupied a public office without due authority, the court can say, show me the authority letter on the basis of which you are occupying office. It's not for doing legal duty, that is mandamus. So if somebody, officer, is not doing duty, then court says, I command. I command, the writ is mandamus. Quo warranto is to show the legitimacy of your occupation of office. Only 1 is correct. Not correct, you have to find out, so 2nd is not correct. The Constitution of India provides a single integrated judicial system. Of course, Supreme Court is the highest level and then high courts and lower courts. Constitution of India provides that the salaries and allowances are not subject to approval because they are charged expenses. Charged expenses means they are not subject to approval by legislature, and that is one of the pillars of judicial independence. Under Article 124, the Constitution judges are appointed by the President, that's correct. 1 and 3. With reference to Office of Attorney General, consider his statement. He is the chief legal advisor to the government. Perfectly correct. He has the right to participate in the proceeding but cannot vote. Correct. His term of office is not fixed by the Constitution. 1 and 2. Incorrect means only 1. In the context of removal of Supreme Court judges, High Court, the Parliament can discuss the conduct of the judges. Parliament cannot discuss the conduct of the judges except when the removal motion is underway. So first one is wrong. The approval from Chief Justice of India is not required for initiating the removal procedure. That's correct. Impeachment motion of judges of removal must be passed by simple majority, not simple majority, special majority. Incorrect, only 2. 1 and 3 are incorrect here. 31. Parliamentary form of government adopted in India features. This form of government is based on the doctrine of separation of powers of both legislature, there is executive, there is judiciary. This form of government provides a nominal head, that is president, real head, that is prime minister. The Constitution of India has adopted this in states as well. That's correct. All the three are correct here because we have the similar system at center and a similar system at the level of state. If you are elected as president, which of these can be a discretionary action you can take on your own? You can ask the parliament or the legislature to reconsider the bills passed by it. The members of Lok Sabha are elected by universal adult suffrage or franchise, is correct. Rajya Sabha members are elected through proportional representation by state legislature, both are correct here. 34. The doctrine of basic structure limits parliamentary power. Parliament can amend constitution. Supreme Court said that Parliament can amend constitution, Parliament can amend any part of the constitution, but Parliament cannot destroy the basic structure of constitution. This doctrine was first propounded in Keshwanand Bharati case versus State of Kerala. That's correct. The Supreme Court has held that judicial review is a part of basic structure. So it's wrong here. It's a part of basic structure. 1 and 2 are correct, only 2. 35. The Prime Minister of India is not directly elected by the people. This is because in a parliamentary democracy, the Prime Minister is the person who is directly elected, who is representing the people. And he is responsible to Lok Sabha. Judicial independence is ensured through security of tenure of the judges, of course. Salaries cannot be varied to their disadvantage except during financial emergency. So during financial emergency proclaimed under Article 360, the salaries can be varied, but under normal conditions, salaries cannot be changed. The conduct of the judges cannot be discussed in Parliament except on removal motion. That's correct. 1 to 3. According to our election, no party candidate can bribe voters, can appeal to them in the name of caste religion, cannot use government resources, and spend more than, this is 95 crore for bigger estates and 95 lakh for bigger estates and 75 lakh for the smaller estates. Similarly, the amounts for state legislative elections also vary. It's not 50 lakh. So 1, 2, 3. 38. Which of the following is a source of funds to the Gram Panchayat? They can impose local taxes, but service tax is not imposed by them. It's central tax, or it was a central tax. Funds received through government schemes and donations. That's correct. 1, 3, and 4. 38. Jila Parishad. Look at this statement. It is the highest level of Panchayati Raj system in the district. That's correct. It is responsible for making developmental plans. Correct. Most of the members are elected and some are nominated, so it's wrong here. Only 1 and 2, that is 2. Most are not nominated, most are elected. So you have to read carefully because you may just slip through the statement without really comprehending it. 40. The tenure of the Panchayat shall be 5 years from the date of the first meeting. 41. A proclamation of national emergency must be approved by both the houses within 1 month. That's correct. Once approved, it can remain for maximum period of 6 months unless revoked. Correct. Maximum period is not mentioned anywhere. It can continue for any length of time. It's not 3 years. 3 years is for national or kind of state emergency under Article 356. 1 and 2. 42. During a national emergency, the Union Parliament can legislate on subject of state list, but the state also will continue to legislate on state list subjects. They are not banned. 43. It can be proclamation of resident rule. It can be imposed on the governor's report that state government cannot be carried out in accordance with the provisions of Constitution. The proclamation must be approved by both the houses within 2 months, and president can remain for 3 years. That is also correct. So, D. 1 to 3. With reference to financial emergency concern policy, it can be proclaimed under Article 360, of course. Salaries of High Court judges can be reduced or can be altered to their disadvantage. That's the language. The Parliament of India must approve such like normal time, 2 months here also, 1 to 3. Each and every segment of Constitution you have to go through, you have to read the issues, you have to remember important cases also, because without cases, polity cannot be really tackled. During national emergency, the right to move to Supreme Court under Article 32 for the enforcement fundamental right is suspended. Article 2021 cannot be suspended. Their life and liberty and procedure established by law. Suspension of fundamental right requires, there is no parliamentary resolution required, separate ordinance or separate order basically. Separate order is to be issued by President for the suspension of each and every right, but there is no need of any parliamentary approval for that order. 1 and 2, only 2. Residual powers means which are not mentioned anywhere. You have state list, you have central list, you have concurrent list. The subject which is not mentioned, or the subject which are not mentioned in any of these 3 lists are known as residual subjects or residual powers. In India, the residual powers are enjoyed by Parliament. In USA, by states, because US is a federal political system. And this feature was adopted from 1935 Act. So all the 3 are correct here. With reference to procedure followed by police in case of offense, consider these are the steps and you have to arrange them properly. Arrange them in the proper order. What will be the first, what will be the second. The first step is recording of the statement of witness and collecting different kind of evidence. That is step number 1. The second step would be filing charge sheet, will be the last step. The police is required to form an opinion. That is step number 2. And then evidence is collected pointing to the guilt. If evidence is there, then step number 3 is coming. And then this becomes step number last. So 1, 4, 3, 2. C. 48. Administrative relations between central states are governed by Article 256 to 263. That's correct. Union government can give direction to states to ensure compliance with the central laws. That's correct. President of India can entrust functions of union to state with their consent, but with their consent, because expenses are also involved. All 3 are correct. 49. With reference to Interstate Council consider following statement. It's a constitutional body established by Article 263. It's chaired by Prime Minister, not by the President. And recommendations are not binding. Only 1 is correct. All the councils, all the kind of tribunals, you have to prepare very well, because questions are always asked by UPSC from those segments. 50. In the context of general councils, they were set up under State Reorganization Act 56. Okay. Home Minister is the chairman, ex officio chairman of general councils. Both are correct. Not correct, so you have to see carefully again. D. A reason assertion. Indian Parliament can state on matter of state list, of course, provided Rajya Sabha adopts a resolution with a special majority. Not with simple majority, with a special majority. So A is true, R is false, option is C. 52. India adopted first past the post system. Like whoever gets the maximum vote in election, the person is declared elected irrespective of the number of votes fetched by the winner. FP, TP. It's simple, can be easily understood by common people, because we have a large population not having very high level of education or political literacy. So they need simple system. Offers voters a choice between the candidates as well as parties. It makes functioning of parliamentary government is smooth, because the bigger party is likely to win majority. There is less likelihood for a hung house. 1, 2, 3, all are correct. The Constitution of India provides for adjudication of interstate dispute under Article 262. Correct. Supreme Court has no jurisdiction in water-related dispute. That is also correct. Of course, they go to Supreme Court finally. Article 136 gives a kind of unlimited power to the Supreme Court, but Constitution says Supreme Court has nothing to do with interstate disputes, because these are very, very complicated. 1 and 2. The Panchayati Raj system was given constitutional status by 73rd Amendment Act. Gram Sabha is the foundation. Gram Sabha means all adult living in a village, or all the voters of the village, they constitute Gram Sabha. The Gram Sabha elects Gram Panchayat, that is a smaller elected body. Gram Sabha is not elected body. Gram Sabha is the electoral college. So remember the difference between the two. The feature of 73rd Amendment applies to all the states including Nagaland and Mizoram. No, because in tribal areas these features are not applied due to special reasons. 55. A State Finance Commission is constituted after every 5 years. This is correct. It recommends distribution of taxes and grants between the state and Panchayati Raj institution. This is correct. Its recommendations are binding, not binding, they are recommendatory. Not correct. Incorrect is only one. 56. The reservation for OBCs is not explicitly mentioned in Constitution. Constitution says state government can make law for reservation of seats for OBCs, but there is no explicit mention of percentage or the number of seats. 1/3 of the seats are reserved for women, that's clearly mentioned. Proportion of seats reserved for OBCs is not uniform. So this is wrong. So you have to read carefully one by one. So which of the statement is correct? Only 2 is correct. 57. The bill cannot be introduced by minister. So you're looking for a constitution amendment bill. Bill can be introduced by a minister or a private member. Private member means who is not a minister. So there are 2 kinds of member classification in parliament. One is a minister, one is a non-minister. The non-minister, whether he or she is from opposition or the ruling party, is termed as private member. The provisions of constitution which can be amended by simple majority are outside the scope. Of course, they are simple lawmaking procedures. Constitution amendment bill does not require prior permission. That is also correct. Are correct 2 and 3. If a member remains absent in House when asked by the party, so he is a candidate for defection, he can be charged with defection related rules. If it is proved that a member has defected, then his membership can be cancelled by the chair of the House. The presiding officer of the House is the final authority on deciding defection. That is also correct. But every time again you can see that the defection related cases can also be challenged in Supreme Court under the special powers given by Article 136. 1 to 3 all are correct. 59. No criminal and civil procedure can be initiated against the President and the governor in respect to their personal acts. That's wrong. No procedure can be initiated for official acts or for civil acts. Criminal acts can be followed up. The judicial officers enjoy immunity from any liability for the official orders. That's correct. Under the Constitution, the civil servants are conferred personal immunity for their official duties. That's correct. 2 and 3. In the context of passing budgets, you have to see the steps and you have to arrange them in correct chronological order, which comes first, which comes last. First is the presentation of budget. Second is general discussion on the budget. Third is a scrutiny by departmental committees. Appropriation bill for intermediate expenditure, then passing of the vote on the demands of grants. So that is going to be the next one. This is first grants will come, and then will come the appropriation bill, and then will come the last one, that is passing of the bill. So 214365 B. 61. National emergency can be proclaimed on the grounds of armed rebellion. Earlier there was internal disturbance. This was replaced by the term armed rebellion by 44th Constitution Amendment Act 1977. The term armed rebellion replaced internal disturbance. That's correct. 44th Amendment Act, same thing is mentioned here. Such a proclamation requires prior approval of Council of Ministers, of course. And that is when the word cabinet was inserted in Constitution through 44th Amendment Act. That without the prior recommendation of cabinet, President cannot issue emergency, or prior recommendation of cabinet in writing to the President. 1, 2, 3, all are correct. Incorrect, none. 62. Consolidatory Fund of India is a fund in which all credit and debit takes place. That's correct. It includes provident fund deposits, judicial deposits, saving banks, departmental deposits. That's correct. No, this is not a consolidatory fund. This is a separate account, the public account. So this is not requiring the consent of legislature for taking out the money. CFI can be charged, or any money from CFI can be spent only through the approval of the legislature. Second is wrong, first is correct. So A is true, R is false. Finance Commission is constituted under Article 280, that's perfectly correct. Its recommendations are not binding on the government. That's wrong. The Commission recommends distribution of taxes between central and state. That's correct. 1 and 3 are correct here. In the context of a state administrative tribunal, see the statements. A state government is empowered to establish a state administration. All the tribunals are established by central government. Members are appointed by President, and CPC procedure is not followed. All are wrong. In the context of Indian Constitution, consider collective response. The ministry is an executive committee of Parliament and is collectively responsible. Decision of policy of Council of Ministers are binding on all ministers, even if the person doesn't agree. Vote of no confidence even against a single minister amounts to vote of no confidence against entire Council of Ministers. Entire Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister is pushed out even if one minister is voted out by Lok Sabha. 1, 2, 3. The following are administered, and if you can see the subject, all of these subjects are given to local bodies. So all the subjects are managed by PRI, Panchayati Raj institutions. D. 67, with reference to District Planning Committee, they are mandated by 73rd, 74th Amendment Act. That's correct. They prepare draft development plan for the area by integrating urban-rural needs. Their composition functions are not uniform. That's wrong. Composition functions vary from state to state. Ratification of the state is not required for which of the following actions. Citizenship is done through normal law. The citizenship-related laws are made by Parliament by using the normal lawmaking powers. Normal lawmaking procedure is followed. How many of the following functions are performed by Gram Sabha? Vigilance committees are constituted to suggest developmental activities and to keep watch on the activity of Panchayat members. No. Vigilance committees are constituted to keep an eye on the development activities which are being undertaken by Panchayat. So they act as a watchdog. Beneficiaries of various government schemes are identified. That's correct, by Gram Sabha. Budget and programs of village are framed. Correct. Public related problems are discussed. That's correct. 2, 3, 4. Elected representative of union is not president, is prime minister. In a state, this is chief minister. And Jila Parishad is Adhyaks. Yes, there will be some issue here. President is the elected representative. Governor is appointed representative. President is elected. Gram Panchayat is headed by Sarpanch, so this is also wrong. How many of are not correctly matched? Only 3 pairs. See. We must make our political democracy, social democracy. Comment was made by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar while speaking in Constituent Assembly. With reference to Panchayat Secretary, the Secretary of the Panchayat is also the Secretary to Gram Sabha, that's correct. A is not nominated, he is a government officer. The Secretary is responsible for calling the meetings of Gram Panchayat, Gram Sabha, that's correct, 1 and 3. Approval of Governor of a state is required for the expenditure from Consular Fund of a state, that is approval of legislature, not Governor. The public account of a state does not require. Public account keeps public money, like the money which the government has as a trustee of the public. That's not the income of the government. So, only 2. 74th, the idea of people's participation in system extends to Panchayat Samiti, Jila Parishad along with Gram. Perfectly correct. The Panch and the Ward Panch are answerable to Gram Sabha, that's correct. Jila Parishad forms the intermediate level. It's not intermediate, it's the highest level. Intermediate level is Panchayat Samiti at block level. So Gram level, village level, Gram Panchayat, district level, then you have Jila Parishad. In between you have Panchayat Samiti at block level. Patwari is responsible for organizing collection of land revenue. That's correct. Patwari is known by different names, Lekpal, all these things. Assessment of Patwari work is done by SDM office, not by Gram Sabha or Tehsildar. 1 and 2. Under 7 city health falls under state list. 77 residuary financial powers, including taxation of Western Parliament. That's why service tax was imposed by Parliament, because service tax was not originally mentioned anywhere. So that time Pranab Mukherjee was finance minister, so he used residuary powers of Parliament to create service tax. Distribution of taxes between union and state is done through the recommendations of Finance Commission. Indian Parliament alone can levy taxes on, not mentioned. That's correct. Basically, first and third are the same thing. All the 3. It is responsible for construction and maintenance of water resources. This is about Gram Panchayat. Correct. Gram Panchayat levies, collects local taxes. Correct. It executes government schemes related to employment generation. Correct. 1 to 3. All the states in India are divided into districts headed by district commissioners, not district commissioner, district collectors. Subdivision of district is known as Tehsil. Correct. The district collector's office is place where land disputes are discussed. Land disputes are resolved, are discussed in Tehsildar's office. That is the venue. Of course, you can always go to district collector for appeal or for taking your complaint. Only 2. 80. The first hour of every hour Parliament is sitting is usually question hour. That's correct. It's a mechanism that is usually followed by executive, not executive, by legislature to control executive. Private members are also held accountable. That's correct. Everybody can be questioned. The presiding officer of both the houses regulate conduct. That's correct. Is the statement correct? 134. Second one here is incorrect because it's legislature controlling executive, not opposite. 81. Now these are the questions on current developments. Following statement regarding Supreme Court's ruling on disqualification. Recently that was the issue. Court initially directed speakers to decide within 3 months, that's correct. Then the government of India or the president filed appeal, and that issue is under consideration. Even that was taken up. The 10th schedule was added to the Constitution through 52nd Amendment Act. That's correct. A speaker's decision under this is immune, is not immune, is subject to judicial review. The above mentioned ruling of Supreme Court applies to state as well as center or parliament 1 and 2. With reference to India-US trade relations, US imposed 25% tariff on India. That's correct. 6 Indian firms were sanctioned. Correct. India has completely halted. India has not halted the import from Iran, reduced, not stopped. India maintains position that it's one of the fastest growing large economy, and we will have to follow our national interest. We will have to see with whom to trade and how much to trade. 1 to 4, 3. With reference to BRICS and India's role, consider following statements. BRICS was originally formed to counter NATO's strategic dominance. So, let's start with number 1. The new NDB created BRICS, headquartered in Shanghai. That's correct. India is one of the founding members. That's correct. This is wrong here. It is not anti-NATO. India's membership sometimes is a relation trading partner because West considers BRICS as a challenge. US considers BRICS as a challenge to its dominance. You see, the BRICS are trying to replace dollar as the hard currency of the world or reserve currency of the world. 1 to 4. 84. Concept following regarding NDMA, Suraksha Chakra. NDMA functions in as per Disaster Management Act, correct. Suraksha Chakra focuses on multi-hazard preparedness, that's correct. It's not only NDMA, the entire machinery participates in it. It's aimed at to test the coordination between different agencies. So all these different agencies, medical agencies, health agencies, police, emergency response systems, everyone has to be in the game. 1 to 4. B. 85. With reference to Malegaon blast verdict, the special court acquitted all the accused. That's correct. Unlawful activities was invoked, UAPA. Court did not direct for the investigation. Court said investigation was flawed, and that's why they are being released. Judicial terrorism should not be linked to religion, because you cannot just pick up people from a particular religion and say they are terrorists, because terrorism has no religion. 1 to 4. Only 3. 86. With reference to the National Education Policy, NEP, NEP introduced 4-year undergraduate program. That's correct. Students completing 4th year can obtain honors with research. 4-year undergraduate program FYUP has been uniformly, it has not been uniformly implemented. The policy encourages multidisciplinary education. That's correct. 1 to 4. With reference to India's biosecurity preparedness plan, the plan addresses biological threats. That's correct. Indian Council of Medical Research is the nodal agency. It integrates disease surveillance and all. That's correct. The plan is legally mandated under environment. This is not part of kind of environment protection. This is a kind of overall having issue related to health, environment, ecological system. So this is not under EPA. 1 to 3. Chabahar port in Iran plays crucial role for India's regional connectivity plans. That's correct. India and Iran developed it collectively. It's located in Persian Gulf for Arabian Sea, and from here India wanted to go to India wanted to go to Afghanistan through Iran. US sanctions have affected Indian companies engaged in Iranian oil trade. Chabahar port is not located in Caspian Sea. This is in Arabian Sea or Persian Gulf area. Chabahar port is strategically linked to INST, that is in International North-South Transport Corridor. 1 to 4. 8. And then consider following statement regarding COP 22. COP28. India aims to achieve net zero emission by 2070. That's correct. India's updated national determined contributions focuses on increasing non-fossil fuel capacity. That's correct. The life mission underlines sustainable lifestyle. That's correct. India has committed to phasing out. India has not committed to phasing out. India says it will gradually reduce, but it's not getting phased out by 2030. 1 to 3. UAPA law, let's see what are the points here. It empowers the government to designate individuals and organizations as terrorists. That's correct. Case under UAPA can be investigated by NIA or other agency. That's wrong. The Act provides for extended detention period. That's correct. Judicial oversight is required. That's correct. 1, 3, and 4. Only 3 statements are correct. 91. With reference to ISRO's Gaganyaan mission, consider following. Gaganyaan is India's first human spaceflight program to send the astronauts into LEO, that is low Earth orbit. So there are different kind of orbits: low Earth orbit, medium Earth orbit, and then you have geostationary orbit. So this is the near to Earth orbit. The mission includes an uncrewed test flight before final human mission. That's correct. Vyamitra female humanoid robot will be used. That's correct. The mission is being jointly implemented by agency like ISRO, DRDO, HAL. All these statements are correct. Consider following statement regarding National Quantum Mission. This mission aims to develop quantum computer sensors and for secure communication technology. That's correct. It plans to establish 4 quantum technology hubs in India. Correct. The mission is fully funded by ISRO, not ISRO, there are other agencies involved in it. One of the key objectives is to build quantum-based secure communication between strategic locations. That's correct. So 1 to 4. 93. Digital India Act 2023 draft. It seeks to replace Information Technology Act 2000. That's correct. The Act introduces a new classification systematically significant platform. That's correct. It focuses on regulating artificial intelligence, cyber security. Social media intermediaries will now be free. No, they will not be completely free. They are also under regulation. 1 to 3. With reference to India's defense acquisition procedure, the procedure prioritizes the indigenization of defense production. That's correct. It introduces the category called category by global manufacture in India to attract foreign investment. Is correct. Defense Research and Development Organization DRDO has no role. It has important role to play. Offset obligations under DAP aim to enhance manufacturing and technology transfer. That's correct. Because the idea is to promote local manufacturing so that India could become hub for defense manufacturing in time to come. 1, 2, 4. 95. With reference to production linked incentives PLI, it is designed to boost domestic manufacturing. That's correct. PLI benefits are applicable to all MSMEs, particularly SMEs, even big corporations. The scheme covers sectors like semiconductors, mobile manufacturing, textile, and pharmaceuticals. Incentives are provided based on incremental sales over a fixed baseline year. That's correct. 134. 96 number. Consider following statements about international north-south transport corridor. It connects India with Europe via Iran and Russia. That's correct. Chaba Port plays important role in this scheme. INSTC bypasses Suez Canal because that shortens the path. And project was initiated not under BRIC. This is independent of BRIC. 1, 2, 3, and option is B. 97. With reference to National Green Tribunal NGT, consider statement, it was established under NGT Act 2010. The tribunal deals with cases related to environmental protection, forest conservation. That's correct. Appeals against NGT orders lie directly with Supreme Court. That's correct. NGT can impose cesses and fines. This is wrong here. It's saying cannot. It can. 1 to 3. A. 98. National Logistic Policy. The policy aims to reduce India's logistic cost as percentage of GDP below 8%, but not by 2030. That's wrong. It focuses on integrating digital platforms under unified logistic interface platform. That's correct. Policy has been formulated under Ministry of Commerce Industry. That's correct. It proposes mandatory private party, not mandatory, but it encourages, or private participation should be encouraged, it's not mandatory. So the word is not mandatory. Mandatory is a problem here. It encourages private participation. Also, 2 and 3 are correct here, only 2 statements. With reference to India's national cybersecurity strategy concept only statement, the strategy seeks to establish centralized national cybersecurity coordination center. The strategy recommends mandatory cyber audits of all critical information infrastructure sectors. The framework proposes a dedicated cybersecurity innovation fund. That's correct. The strategy is fully implemented by RBI. It's not RBI. There are so many technical and non-technical entities involved in it. 1 to 3. B. So last question here in this test paper 100, unmanned aerial vehicle systems rules. The rules liberalize drone operations. That's correct. A digital sky platform is being used to grant license. That's correct. And drone operations no longer required for registration. They are required for registration because many of the rural areas, even the urban areas nowadays, are facing drone threat in the night. The unruly elements of local villages, they fly drones into the house of people, take photographs, and they are being used even by the kind of dacoits to commit theft. Certain zones remain no drone areas for national security. That's correct. 1 to 4. A. So dear students, this was the discussion of your Indian polity and governance test paper. In case you have any other difficulty in the doubt, feel free to contact me through teacher support. I'm always here for you. So keep working hard, keep moving ahead. All the best. God bless you.